Hi everyone, I'm Rick Neuheisel, and welcome to Varsity Days. Our historians here at the Pac-12 have gone deep into the vault and found rare films of yesteryear, films that tell the rich history that has made the Pac-12 the Conference of Champions. The year, 1982. People were flocking to the theaters to watch E.T. Phone Home, and Michael Jackson's Thriller was flying off the shelves at the record stores. On the conference front, Washington was suddenly the new power in the Pac-10, winning back-to-back conference titles in 1980 and 81. It is against that backdrop we present to you, in its original format, the 1982 Pac-10 season preview. This program looks ahead to the season and spotlights a talented crop of players, led by Stanford quarterback John Elway. So let's get started. Here's your host, Bill Flemming.
The 1982 Pac-10 Football Preview, presented by General Motors Parts. Keep that great GM feeling with genuine GM parts. This 1982 Football Preview features the teams of the Pac-10 in their order of finish in the 1981 conference race. The undisputed champion Huskies of Washington, who made a triumphant visit to the Rose Bowl. Sharing second place, the Sun Devils of Arizona State, who were crowned the nation's total offense leaders. Also in the runner-up role, the Trojans of USC, who played in the Fiesta Bowl. Co-holders of fourth place were the Cougars of Washington State, who were invited to the Holiday Bowl. And the Bruins of UCLA, who journeyed to the Bluebonnet Bowl. Then followed the Wildcats of Arizona, the Cardinals of Stanford, the Golden Bears of California, the Ducks of Oregon, and the Beavers of Oregon State. Hi, I'm Bill Flemming, your host for these next 30 minutes as we preview the upcoming football season in the Pac-10 Conference. In 1981, the Washington Huskies won their second straight title and made their second trip in a row to the Rose Bowl game. Now, there are 9 other teams in the Pac-10 who are determined not to let the Huskies make it 3 in a row in 1982. And I think you'll agree when you see the preview that here is a conference loaded with football talent. We've divided our program into 3 sections, 3 phases of the game of football: defense, passing, and running. We've asked each one of the conference coaches which of those phases of the game was the area where his team was the strongest. I think you'll find it interesting. And we're going to start our preview at the defending champions' home at Washington. Coach Don James of the University of Washington once again will rely on a rugged and disciplined defense to carry the Huskies to more glory. He's fortunate that 9 out of 11 starters are back from the championship team of 1981. Mark Stewart, number 38, is the team's most outstanding performer. He, along with Ken Driscoll and Ray Horton, will be the nucleus of the Washington defense. And in the backfield, the Huskies are looking for number 11, Bill Stapleton, to have another great season. Not only is he a hard hitter, but he's credited with 1981's most enterprising interception. Enthusiasm is running high once again for the Huskies. And there's a new excitement on the practice field at California with the cry that Cap is back. Former star Joe Cap has returned to coach his alma mater. And he makes this observation about this year's squad.
Well, I think that firstly, it is an experienced team, especially on defense. We have a complete returning group of players. There are some individuals that are just outstanding, as good as anybody in the country. I could mention Ron Rivera, Harvey Salem, Rich Dixon. We've got a strong, experienced group in the secondary. So I look at that as a very positive part of our football team.
All West Coast linebacker Rich Dixon, number 47, was redshirted because of an injury in '81, but he seems to be fully recovered. Along with Dixon is Ron Rivera, number 80. As a sophomore, he won second-team all-conference honors a year ago. So these two, Dixon and Rivera, give California one of the best backstop duos in the conference on a team that holds plenty of promise. Coach Darrell Rogers of Arizona State has made the point that defense will be the key for his team this fall, since practically his entire offense was lost from the '81 season. Returning is number 25, All-America safety man Mike Richardson. He's led the Sun Devils for the last 3 successive years in interceptions. And then there's outside linebacker Vernon Maxwell, number 54. Twice, Maxwell has been named to the All-Pac-10 Conference team. Last year, it was the offense that gave the Sun Devils their Saturday night fever. This year, the temperature rise will be due to the defense. Oregon's head coach Rich Brooks is rightfully optimistic about his team's defense. The Ducks return a number of their standouts, including middle linebacker Chris Cosgrove, number 58, who covers lots of ground. Number 54 is defensive end Mike Walter, who should have his best year as a senior. And number 28 is All-America cornerback candidate Steve Brown. Also at cornerback, number 10, Dennis Clay, who believes that all footballs thrown in his area rightfully belong to him. Oregon may have some problem areas this year, but defense doesn't seem to be one of them. Arizona's head coach Larry Smith had one of the greatest moments in his life in 1981 when his Wildcats upset the #1 ranked team of the nation, Southern California. This man, number 89, Ricky Huntley, was one of the reasons for the success of the defense in '81. He started all 11 games last year and was one of only 2 sophomores to be named to the All-Pac-10 Conference team. Number 58, Ivan Lesnick, a 245-pound junior, has been moved to nose guard from tackle and should give the middle of the defensive line lots of strength. So Washington, Arizona State, Oregon, and Arizona are the teams whose defenses are their strongest areas in '82. Now let's take a look at some of the other outstanding defenders in the Pac-10. At Stanford, number 80, Garin Veras, 6'6", 250, a sophomore linebacker with great potential. Number 45, Vaughn Williams, a brutal tackler who plays with such abandon he scares his own teammates. Oregon State's Tyrone Howard, number 73, and Jerome Boyd, number 58, are 2 seasoned veterans who will be the heart of the Beaver defense. At USC, nose guard George Achika, number 78, goes into his senior year with all the credentials necessary for achieving Trojan immortality. He'll be the most dominant force in the USC defensive lineup. He'll get some strong help from number 52, Jack Del Rio, who earned a starting role last year as a freshman. In the linebacking core, August Curley, number 87, returns, as does Byron Darby, and if his knee is okay, Ricky Gray. The 2 Browner brothers, Keith and Joey, will carry on that family's great football tradition. Joey, number 47, a 2-year starter as a cornerback, will move to safety in 1982. Their brother Ross, of course, was an All-America player at Notre Dame. Washington State got some unexpected help at the linebacker position when freshman Lee Blakeney, number 96, earned himself a starting job. Number 34, Ken Emil, returns as a starting linebacker, and he's a strong one. And number 57, Brent White, rounds out one of the league's best linebacking core at Washington State. UCLA returns 8 seasoned starters on defense, including number 75, defensive tackle Irv Eatman, a 6'6", 263-pound avalanche. Number 40, nose guard Carl Morgan played so well in '81, he was named the team's most valuable defensive player. Number 21, cornerback Lupe Sanchez is back after suffering a broken arm last year. And senior strong safety Tom Sullivan returns. What a year he had, making tackles and interceptions all over the field and creating a certain nervousness among opponents about trespassing into the Bruins secondary. Terry Donahue, UCLA's head coach, is justifiably proud of his team's passing abilities. The Bruins are going to be hard to stop in that department. At quarterback, they have the veteran Tom Ramsey, already holder of a number of school passing records. And with receivers like Cormac Carney, number 83, and JoJo Townsell returning, Ramsey should just keep adding to his impressive numbers. Carney keeps coming up with more impossible catches each game. And Townsell's speed makes him almost impossible to stay with and cover. UCLA has some super talent at the skill positions, and that should really pay off for the Bruins this fall. Oregon State's head coach Joe Avezzano is realistic about his team's ability to move the ball. It's going to have to be in the air since only one proven running back returns. At quarterback is number 9, Ed Singler, who's striving for greater consistency. He has a fine tight end in Ron Vogel, number 88. Another good receiver in Tim Sim, who will no doubt step into the position vacated by Victor Simmons. Also look for the Beavers to go to their backfield for receivers. In Darvin Malone, number 3, they uncovered a freshman a year ago with some excellent speed. A little over a quarter of a century ago at Stanford, Coach Paul Wiggin twice earned All-America honors as a player. In 1982, he may very well be coaching his first Heisman Trophy winner, as quarterback John Elway has an excellent shot at that honor this fall. He's considered to be the top quarterback in the Pac-10, maybe even in the country. His receivers are also ranked among the best. Players like Emil Henry and flanker Mike Tolliver, number 26. Number 19, Don Lonsinger, certainly proved his value. When Elway's on target, Stanford's going to be a team tough to outscore. There are other Pac-10 schools with individual stars in the aerial game. At Arizona State, Doug Allen, number 82, came through as a freshman last fall. At tight end, Ron Wetzel, number 85, is a huge 6'7" target. Sun Devil fans love to see Wetzel score, because when he did, he and tackle John Meyer performed their patty cake ritual in the end zone. One could describe the quarterback position at Washington State as solid, with 2 players from last fall returning. Clete Casper, number 9, who passed for more than 1,000 yards. And number 12, Ricky Turner, who shared the quarterback duties with Casper. Also, make note of the name Mark Rippon, former high school All-America quarterback, who will get a chance to prove himself this fall. On the receiving end of this Turner pass, number 85, T.J. Jones, the only returning receiver who saw much playing time in '81. Oregon had all kinds of quarterback problems last year when Kevin Lusk was sidelined with injuries. The Ducks had to go with a couple of freshmen. But Lusk is back, and he's healthy, and so is his favorite receiver, number 80, Greg Mosier. He caught 39 passes last year for an Oregon record for one season. Returning with Mosier will be punt return specialist Choo Choo Young, who will be moved to a wideout, and flanker Osborne Thomas, number 18. Now, this is the play the Ducks put in for their fans. 5 different players get to touch the football, with Mosier on the receiving end for a long and colorful bit of yardage. Last season, Arizona sophomore quarterback Tom Tunnicliffe gained national recognition as he engineered his team's victory over Southern California. His leading receiver, tight end Mark Keel, number 83, a starter in every game. Wide receiver number 81, Brad Anderson, sported a healthy 21 yards per catch. And split end Kevin Ward, number 14, proved to be a constant deep threat with more than 400 yards to his credit last season. Tunnicliffe wound up the year by passing for more than 1,400 yards and 9 touchdowns. At California, the passing combination of quarterback Jay Torchio, number 11, to flanker Marette Ford, who wears number 1, could prove to be quite productive. Ford finished the season as the leading pass catcher among the Pac-10 receivers. With All-America offensive tackle Harvey Salem providing that valuable extra time to throw the ball, Cal's passing game this fall could be outstanding. The Pac-10's all-academic quarterback last season was Washington's Steve Pallure, number 16. He was also the Huskies' total offense leader, who combined with the team's leading receiver Anthony Allen, number 15, for 29 completed aerials and 5 touchdowns. Flanker Paul Scansey, number 7, will be a 4-year starter at that spot this fall. Already, he's the #2 career receiver in Husky history. Coming up, one of 4 passes that he caught in the 1982 Rose Bowl on the way to a resounding Washington victory over Iowa. At USC, the starting quarterback job could be very competitive this season. John Mazur started every game last year, but he's got some stiff competition from sophomore sensation Sean Salisbury, a former high school All-America. On the receiving side, number 29, Jeff Simmons is back at split end. He shares that time with number 22, Malcolm Moore. The leading flanker in 1981 was number 6, Timmy White, a 9'6" sprinter. But then again, Southern California has never lacked for speed, as we will see in the running department. Coach John Robinson has always produced outstanding runners at USC, and 1982 will no doubt see the emergence of new stars. Fred Crutcher, number 49, saw considerable action last year, and one thing you can count on from Crutcher: he never gives up, no matter how badly jammed up his running routes seem to be. Crutcher will get some stiff competition from Michael Harper, a 9'5" sprinter, who sat out last year with a shoulder injury, but who's healthy again. Number 23, Todd Spencer, the returning starter at fullback, has also been working out at the tailback spot. Coach Robinson is equally high on sophomore Michael Allo, a former prep All-America. Keep in mind that 4 of the last 7 Trojan tailbacks have been Heisman Trophy winners. Indeed, it's one of the most famous positions in college football. The Pac-10 Coach of the Year in 1981 was Jim Walden of Washington State, who took his Cougars to their first bowl game in 51 years. A lot of their success was due to the running of this man, number 43, Tim Harris, who already holds Washington State's career rushing record going into his final season. Harris has the potential to post a 1,000-yard rushing year this fall. In addition to Harris, the Cougars have runners like Mike Martin and James Matthews, as well as number 42, senior Robert Williams. So the running games at USC and Washington State look very strong again this year. Now, a quick look at some of the other top runners in the conference. At Arizona State, number 44, the veteran Willie Gittens returns with his blazing speed and indomitable spirit. Arizona State has another offensive weapon in the gifted toe of Luis Zendejas, number 8. He may get lots of chances because Arizona State's offensive line is quite green, and the Sun Devils may have to resort to field goals rather than touchdowns. Number 31 at California is fullback John Tuggle, one of 2 starters back from last year's squad. He's a solid, dependable fullback who has led the Bears on the ground the last 2 seasons. The other veteran returning back is number 44, Carl Montgomery, who has the speed to be one of the top breakaway threats in the conference. He's been the victim of 3 adjustments in offense in his 3 years at California, all emphasizing the passing game. Joe Cap's balanced offense philosophy should see Montgomery getting a lot more work this fall. Last season, Oregon State discovered a new find at quarterback, number 6, James Burton, a freshman. On many occasions, when he was put into the game, he ran the option to perfection. So it's fair to assume that if the passing game should falter this fall, Joe Avezzano will quickly go to Burton at quarterback. In the running department, number 31, Randy Holmes, is a quality competitor. He has been for the last 2 years. He has tremendous toughness and competitive desire despite knee surgery a year ago. The Beavers also may do a little experimenting by moving Mike Cagle, number 25, a running back, to a wide receiver position. And at halfback, James Terrell, number 28, could get some stiff competition from track star Tyrone Henderson. Stanford's all-academic fullback, number 33, Rob Moore, comes by his abilities quite naturally. His father, Robin Moore, was an NCAA freestyle swimming champion at Stanford in 1956. Young Rob has had more than his share of adversity, knee surgery, shoulder problems, but he's hung in there, and he's managed to get stronger each year. The Cardinals are really counting on his fullback strength this fall. The jitterbug halfback, Vinny White, number 22, returns for his senior year. He's been a Stanford Stadium favorite for 3 years now with his daring and elusive moves. He doesn't run, he squirts. So look for Vinny White to move to center stage after playing behind the now graduated Darren Nelson. Oregon Michigan's quarterback, Kevin Lusk, has proven that he can run the football, and that fact alone keeps the defense honest. Challenging Lusk are sophomores Mike Owens and Mike Jorgensen. At running back, Harry Billups, number 5, came on strong at the end of the 1981 season and seems to have the inside track on that job this year. However, returning will be Dwight Robertson, a hurdler in the spring, who was one of the nation's leading kickoff return artists in 1979 and 80, but who was redshirted last year. Arizona's 2 top running backs returned from a year ago. Junior Brian Holland, number 6, who will be following offensive tackle Jeff Kewell through those big holes. And on the wide sweeps, it'll be number 25, Vance Johnson. He was the leading rusher on the team in 1981. As we watch Johnson in action, we should mention that sophomore fullback Courtney Griffin was the surprise of the spring drills, and he just might work himself into a starting role this fall with the Wildcats. UCLA couldn't ask for a better player at the fullback spot than number 42, Frank Bruno. Not only was he the team's second leading rusher, he was a devastating blocker, as he demonstrates on this touchdown run by teammate Kevin Nelson. That's worth a second look. Watch the timing on this play as Bruno takes out the defender at the precise moment, and Nelson makes his cut behind the block. Nelson returns as a junior this fall, and this younger brother of Stanford great Darren Nelson could emerge as one of the Pac-10's finest runners if he can stay free of the nagging injuries that have plagued his career in the past. You don't have to tell Washington football fans who wears jersey number 25, Ron Cookie Jackson, the Huskies' leading rusher, a player with sprinter speed, who contributed 4 touchdowns last year. But the real surprise turned out to be number 28, Jock Robinson, who had what only could be described as a phenomenal game in the Rose Bowl. He rushed for 142 yards, scored 2 touchdowns, led his team to a 28-0 win over Iowa, and he didn't even start the game. Robinson became the first freshman in the history of the Rose Bowl to be named the game's most valuable player. That seemed to be a fitting climax to the 1981 season, considered as the most unusual and unpredictable that college football has ever seen.
There's a new way.
The scenic grandeur of the schools in the Pac-10 Conference is captured at the site of college football's most famous postseason stadium, the Rose Bowl. Before next year's game, a lot of questions must be answered. For instance, could it be that at California, they'll become a contender under new coach Joe Kapp? Who will replace USC's great Heisman Trophy winner Marcus Allen at that famous Trojan tailback spot? Will Stanford's John Elway give the Pac-10 their 3rd Heisman winner in 4 years? Are those predictors right who say this could be UCLA's year to win the title? Or will the Huskies make it 3 in a row? One thing is certain, Pac-10 football is fun. And for those who play the game the best, the rewards are great.
Three Pac-10 schools would go to bowls in 1982. Washington would beat Maryland in the very first Aloha Bowl in Hawaii. Arizona State defeated Oklahoma in the Fiesta Bowl, and conference champion UCLA, led by my old teammates Tom Ramsey and Don Rogers, defeated Michigan 24-14 in the Rose Bowl. There was unfortunately no bowl for John Elway and Stanford. Their bowl hopes were dashed in Berkeley as the band took the field on the craziest final play in college football history. We hope you've enjoyed our preview of the 1982 Pac-10 season. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on Varsity Days.